What's up YouTube? Today's video we're going to be going over how big my totems are because I really just made them super big finally. I got 40 out of 40 and these are huge, right? And I actually have two that are really big. Now it's all about the size for these totems. If you don't go 40 out of 40 then you're going to end up with a little stump like that. But that's not the real thing about this video. The real thing we're going to be discussing today is the big change to Harvest coming in 3.19 that will completely revolutionize the game, making PoE one of the best trading experiences and crafting experiences ever to exist in PoE history. So we're going to go over it, exactly why we know that there'll probably be a change coming to Harvest, but maybe this is all just speculation and nothing will actually happen. But let's get straight into it and see what actually caused this potential change to Harvest that's upcoming in 3.19. So before we start, I wanted to show you the best scam I've seen in PoE. Well, not really the best scam, but it's kind of the most hilarious scam because this thing caught my eye yesterday when I was doing streaming. And this does have to deal with TFT yet again because there's going to be Harvest changes because of TFT. So you can see here, this guy is doing the classic scam where he's DMing people that want to buy a craft. And he's going to say, this guy wants to buy non-defense to defense. So he PMs him. And then he trades him a pair of gloves and he left, right? So next scam that happens is this guy PM'd me about Varici 100x collateral. And then he traded him gloves that seemed to be worth around 100x and he left. It's the same person. Now you might be wondering, what are these gloves that he traded him? And if you look at this, look at these gloves. These are actually not bad. They're probably around 40, 50x. But look at the gloves, defense, and this last mod is a non-defense, right? So this guy originally, if you wanted to fix these gloves, you would do non-defense to defense and hope to hit this fire damage to attacks and try to get ward on it to try to get more ward on this pair of ward loop gloves. So what happens is that this guy stole this pair of gloves from this person he offered to do non-defense to defense on, and then later did a collateral scam with the gloves to liquidate the gloves that he stole for 100x. This is a top tier scam. I don't believe that this actually happened. I was just browsing through the Discord scam reports and I saw that this actually happened. And I felt really bad because this guy literally stole this guy's pair of gloves that he scammed and then got 100x out of it by doing a collateral scam afterwards. So beware of who you're trading and always ask them to DM you on Discord. But basically, because of the prevalence of these scams and people posting topics on Reddit about their bad experiences on TFT regarding scams and disputes and TFT mods, this led to the Reddit pretty much just being full of complaint posts about TFT and how GGG is causing these TFT problems because of their stance on harvest crafts and betrayal services. Because most people use TFT to sell harvest crafts or buy harvest crafts or buy or sell Varici or Ashling or something like that. So you can see here, this is actually from my video that someone posted on Reddit. And these are extremely popular topics. These are 946 comments. And this other one yesterday has 704 comments. So you can see here, state of TFT is disgusting. People scamming mirror shops, div gambles, reforward, the new GGG, how long before you act like this isn't harming your game? And then you have another one here from yesterday that said abusive authority of TFT mods. This guy's complaining that he was an aura bot. He didn't get a split. And then a TFT mod decided in favor of the carry because the carry owned the map. So it's just a bunch of complaining posts on Reddit about TFT and the horrible system that GGG has in place that allows these scammers to prosper. Because GGG is the main reason that all of these scammers are able to do what they do. Is the main reason why you can trade some of your item and then they can brick the item and then they aren't able to pay you back. So the whole Reddit is filled with these posts. Now the breaking point happens after the mods deleted one of these posts about the TFT situation and GGG situation. And the main post was, can we please not have every thread about TFT gets deleted from the subreddit? And this led to GGG finally responding because they're probably sick of seeing the Reddit just filled with complaint posts about TFT. And most people use the Reddit. They like to see the state of the game from the Reddit to some degree. It is not a good look when the Reddit is just full of people complaining. And this is not like just a one-time thing. This has been happening daily for like the past week all the time. And this finally led to Bex commenting that they would be discussing some potential changes for 3.19 that would make this Discord channel far less necessary going forward. And here you can see her exact posting or language, which says, "We're discussing some potential changes for 3.19 that would make this Discord channel far less necessary going forward." So it's not even just less necessary, but far less necessary. So what does this actually mean? So what this actually means is right now, the main problem with TFT and why a lot of people have to deal with Discord mods is how you have to trust people with your expensive items. And this is not a TFT specific thing, because the whole harvest system and how you can get harvest crafts from other people is that they have to take your item and use it themselves on their hoarder crafting station or betrayal bench. Now, what this means is that in order to end our reliance on TFT in how we interact with it, is that GGG is either going to remove harvest or the crafts will be itemized like charge compasses or bestiary orbs. So right now, if you don't know, is that if you use a compass in the game, you can store a sextant. So what people think is that you can use a harvest orb and then you can get a sextant that you can trade people. So it'll be something like this, and it can say, oh, reforge an item with defense or aug influence or remove non-influence, add influence. And then you can apply the compass onto your item and then it will perform that harvest craft. Now, this would be a huge step forward in making the game feel a lot better. Now, the main problem with this method is that a lot of people think that the friction is really gone from this because people can just go on TFT or they can go on the trade site and bulk buy a bunch of harvest crafts. Now, this means that people can create items really, really fast, and this could potentially lead to GGG nerfing some of the drop rate of the harvest crafts or making a lot of the harvest crafts a lot rarer. So another way they could do it is that they could do a system like if you've ever played WoW before where it's like an enchant thing. So you can see that they offer a service on the item that you put in, and then they put in the money and then you put in some change. So you can see here for this wand, this guy is paying 1 exalt and his wand will be getting reforged defense. And then this person is paying him back the change because he doesn't have change for an X. So this wand, for the trade, he would just be enchanting it or reforging it with defense, and he's getting his payment. And this means that the person never has to give his item away. He never has to have the chance of getting his item scammed. And most importantly, this way of doing the trade creates a lot more friction because you can't just buy a billion harvest crafts. You still have to go find people with the harvest craft and do a trade that way. Now, the problem with this is that this actually still relies on you using TFT, which is why I don't know if they will actually go this route. But if they go the route of the charge compasses or bestiary orbs, they will probably have to nerf harvest a little bit in order to make up for how the crafts are tradable. Now, it is a possibility that harvest could just be removed or completely changed in a different way, but I don't think that will be the case because people will literally be extremely, extremely mad. Now, it'll be interesting to see what they do with betrayal services because another huge portion of TFT is the betrayal services. So if you actually go in services here, you can see here a lot of these people are literally just selling betrayal like Hillock Weapon Craft, Ashling, and then you have Varici every now and then. So what they could do, and this is what I do think that they will probably end up doing, is if you go to Path of Exile Trade, let me bring up the website. Currently for Alva temples, and this is something that they actually did with Alva temples that was super cool, is that you could actually look up like Doriani's Institute. So you can buy a map fully completed that has all of these rooms. So what they could do with Betrayal is they could itemize a map for the Katarina fight where it says what is on the map. So what's completed, so you'll have like Varici tier 4 or Ashling tier 4, Hillock tier 4 in transportation. But this is just an idea they could use to make the Katarina fight sellable, like Incursion and Alva, and then you don't need to use this channel and then have to give away your expensive items to some random stranger. And I do think that this is probably the solution that they'll go for doing betrayal services and harvest crafts, but that's just my idea. I'm not really sure what exactly GGG will do because GGG is a lot smarter than me, and I'm pretty sure they'll come up with some revolutionary idea that will make trading insane in the game and make it so that we don't have to trust people with our items. Now, this is another thing that's pretty much a hot topic. And what happens if they itemize harvest and change harvest and itemize betrayal services? Will this be the end of TFT? And the answer is that TFT at this point is more than just a Discord for trading harvest crafts and betrayal services. The people have really put in a lot of work in the TFT Discord. So you have the challenge selling, you have the 5-way rotations at this point, you have the bench crafting services, which is just as bad because you have to trust people with your items. You have the bulk want to buy section, so you can buy delirium orbs in bulk. You can buy full stash tabs in bulk, and this means that you can sell your entire tabs in bulk. Right here, you can see here, people are buying entire tabs. Now, these sections are perfectly fine. You have want to sell bases, you have want to sell beasts. A lot of people who do feared invitations or trying to do a lot of incandescent invitations, you can see here, they're selling the invitations in bulk on TFT. So there's a lot more uses for TFT right now. So you can see here, people are selling Crimson Conqueror maps. And unless GGG creates a bulk selling auction house that is really well designed, I do think that TFT will still exist and will remain vital for people trying to buy sets, liquidate their tabs or anything else, or buying delirium orbs. And TFT will still fulfill this niche regardless of what happens with the harvest crafts or betrayal services, purely because of how bad trade is. And if you see here, this is a bulk selling thing that TFT developed, and that you're able to sell your entire tab, and it prices out your tab, your currency tab, your fragment tab. Now, the thing about these services is that there's really zero chance of getting scammed unless you're not careful. And no one really has a bad experience with TFT when they're using the bulk sell, bulk trading tool. And everyone who has a bad experience is usually people who get scammed with the harvest crafts, who get scammed with betrayal services, or they get scammed with something else. And if you're not dealing with the TFT mods, most people have a very, very pleasant experience. And I do think that asking them to change the trade system with the bulk selling auction house is pretty big of a stretch, and I don't think it's going to happen. Now, regardless, I do think that this is a huge step forward if GGG decides to itemize the harvest or change it up completely, because having to trust expensive items with people that you don't really know and having them be able to steal it or mess it up, and this is something that happens all the time. Even the people are well-intentioned and they don't want to steal your item, they could potentially press the wrong craft. I had a friend who accidentally reforged his ring instead of defining it, and it just happens. If you do a lot of crafts all the time, someone is bound to make a mistake. But instead of you having agency over your own mistake, you leave it to someone else, and it just feels really, really badly. I know Path of Math had like 3 or 4 mirror tier items ruined with reforges when he was on the divining step. But I do think if GGG decides to add in a bulk selling auction house, then the game will be in its best state ever. And I will probably fall in love with the game. And it will probably be the best game ever made. It will win Game of the Year. And it will have more players than League of Legends and Valorant combined. But it is realistic to temper your expectations because of the wording discussing potential changes. We do know how delayed hard mode is. And I do think that maybe we won't get all the changes in 3.19. But I do think that now it is on the radar of GGG to fix whatever is going on with harvest crafts and betrayal services, and maybe potentially adding a bulk selling auction house to end our reliance on the Discord server. But we'll see what happens. I do think a lot of this is copium talking, but I really would like to see these changes, especially because getting scammed is a terrible, terrible experience. And having to message a billion people on Discord and then doing vouchers is also an awful experience. And I would probably craft a lot more items if I didn't have to visit TFT to finish off a lot of stages. And every single time I do a craft, I'm pretty much playing Russian roulette to see if I get scammed. But thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you find more mirrors, exalts, and mage bloods than me. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and see you next time. Bye!